Breaking news. This just in. CEOs are quitting at a record pace. Economic shifts and global threats. Let's talk about it. The first article, CEOs flee at a historic rate. Staggering 1,400 CEOs have stepped down from their roles in 2023. This was a 50% increase from last year. Is it post-pandemic burnout, economic uncertainty, rising labor costs? Are these driving the waves of departures across industries like tech, government, and healthcare? We're going to talk about it. Also, updates on Apophis comet asteroid strike. New analysis raises concerns about asteroid Apophis, previously predicted to narrowly miss Earth in 2029. Scientists warn that small cosmic collisions could nudge Apophis onto a collision course, increasing the risk. Also, here's some good news. A once in a generation opportunity for gold. Analysts are calling it the buy of a lifetime, with forecasts of gold skyrocketing to $4,400 per ounce. Now, there's obviously never any guarantees, so we look at what the money funders are doing. Investors are scrambling to seize this rare chance as inflation rises and geopolitical tensions grow. Do yourselves a favor, call Noble Gold Investments, 1-877-646-5347. They're offering a 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar or 10 1-ounce silver Trump rounds if you qualify and you convert your 401 or IRA through Noble Gold Investments. A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews. Noble Gold is the gold company that I trust. You'll thank me later. Give them a call. Next article, new car tech to prevent drunk driving. Well, also, it will spy on you. Big changes are coming to your next car. A new mandate in the U.S. requires anti-drunk driving technology in all vehicles as part of the infrastructure bill aiming to reduce accidents and save lives. They also have plans to spy on you in your car. What do you think about that? Here's another article that's interesting. U.S. bans car software from China and Russia. Only the U.S. is allowed to spy on you in your car. In a bold move, the U.S. has banned car software originating from China and Russia due to cybersecurity risks. This ban aims to safeguard data and protect against potential espionage. You're not going to like this. Microplastics found in the human brain. Disturbing new research reveals that microplastics have been discovered in the human brain. This long-term health implication is still unknown of its consequences, but this finding underscores growing concerns about pollution. Well, that's okay because scientists have a plan to protect you from global warming. They want to refreeze the Arctic. They're testing bold new geoengineering methods to refreeze Arctic ice. Early trials show promise, but the long-term feasibility remains uncertain. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Buckle up, Buttercup. Let's take a look at the list of CEOs that are quitting at a record pace. Fox 5 San Diego. CEO exits are up 50% from the same period last year. Is it the end of the pandemic crisis that's a factor? Well, what about stock prices? What about scandals? What about tech problems? In the first 3 months of this year, more than 600 chief executives or CEOs left their jobs, either through retirement, resignation, or being forced out. That's a 50% increase from the first quarter of 2023. According to the outplacement firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas, the company's Andy Challenger says the big uptick may be linked to the pandemic. Companies were loath to let go of their leaders in the middle of the crisis, he told Marketplace earlier this year. Now it appears that companies are not so skittish to part ways with their CEOs. Other reasons could be retirement of baby boomers, increased stockholder pressure to navigate difficult issues, including inflation and supply chain disruptions, as well as social concerns. Like what kind of social concerns? I wonder if it has anything to do with that one guy that just got outed for that one thing or the many things that's all over the news now. It seems like when there's a political season, like when somebody's about to be elected president, the amount of charades that comes out in the news as far as like these scandals, seems like they wait for certain times to release this information. Now, this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm definitely speculating here. I'm giving my opinions. But what is your opinion on the release of certain news and how close it is to the election season and when you need to go out and vote, if you're even going to go out and vote. Well, let's take a look at some of the CEOs of major corporations that have recently left their position. Kevin Liles, 300 Elektra Entertainment. Liles has been the parent company Warner since 2004. Liles has been with the parent company Warner since 2004. In the past year, he has been a defender of Sean Diddy Combs. And some inside the company say Lily's or Liles' exit could be a direct result. Reports TMZ. Laxman N from Starbucks. After less than 1 year in the position, Laxman suddenly stepped down in August. While no specific reason was given, some investors were calling for measures to boost the stock price. And it apparently worked, as Starbucks stock surged by more than 24% after the resignation of Laxman and the hiring of Brian Niccol, who was the CEO at Chipotle. Then Boeing, Dave Calhoun. Boeing's well-documented troubles, especially the in-flight structural failure of an Alaska Airlines plane, may have caught up with Calhoun. But in March, he told CNBC that the choice to resign was entirely his own. Dave is scheduled to leave Boeing at the end of the year. Now, what about Bob Bakish, Paramount Global? Paramount's global pending merger with Skydance, as well as Venerable Entertainment Company's financial woes, ganged up on Bob, who reportedly opposed the merger. Bob had been with Paramount Global and its predecessor, Viacom, since 1977. Pretty cool year. Stephen Scher from Hertz left in March. He led the company's ill-fated move towards electric vehicles and the subsequent pivot away from EVs. Hertz had to unload about 20,000 electric vehicles after high repair costs and low customer demand doomed the initiative. Didn't take him long to figure that out. John Donahoe from Nike. Donahoe is credited with guiding the shoe and sportswear giant through the COVID supply chain crisis, upgrading Nike's direct-to-consumer sales, but analysts point to a lack of new innovative products under Donahoe's nearly 5 years at the helm. Nike's former president, Elliott Hill, will take over. Hill retired back in 2020. He was with Nike for 32 years back then. Kaz Kobayashi, Warner Music Japan. Kobayashi is recognized for his artist-first approach to running the music giant for the past decade. Under his guidance, it became one of the top digital-first music labels in Japan. He's helping the firm in the transition to a yet-to-be-named CEO. Randy Goodman, Sony Music, Nashville, a player in the Nashville music scene for more than 3 decades. Goodman will retire at the end of this year. He runs Sony's Nashville operation since 2015. He spent 16 years with RCA before then. Do you remember RCA? Because if you do, you're probably Gen X or before. And then we have Matteo Fantacciotti from Campari, the leader of the Italian spirits company behind the once trendy Aperol Spritz, cites personal reasons for leaving the company after just 5 months as CEO. But the move also comes a week after Matteo labeled the entire spirits industry as being still quite soft, particularly in the US. That's just a list of a few of the CEOs that have stepped down. So we've got Dave Calhoun, Boeing, John Donahoe, Nike, John Slavin, Vedanta Aluminum, the Campari Group, Matteo Fantacciotti. Then we have El Octane, Laurent Martu, Starbucks, Michael Conway, Lipton Teas and Infusions, Nathalie Roos, Dark Trace, Poppy Gustafson, Chipotle, Brian Niccol, Mark Schneider from Nestle, Mike Suffredini from Axiom Space, Freeman Company, Bob Priest Heck, Utica National Insurance Group, Richard P. Creedon, American Red Cross, Gail McGovern, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Melinda Gates stepped down. Amazon Web Services, Adam Silipsky. Trinity Health, Odette Bolano. Expedia Group, Peter Kern. Peloton, Barry McCarthy. Levi Strauss & Co., Chip Berg. Discover Financial, Michael Rhodes. Beatrice, Rajiv Malik. Mercer, Martine Furland. American Tower, Tom Barlett. Helen of Troy, Julian Minenberg. H&M, Helena Helmerson. Alley, Jeffrey Brown. Whitecap, John Stegman. Goodyear, Richard Kramer. Morgan Stanley. James Gorman. And this is going all the way back to 1/17/2024. Jay Brown, Crown Castle Incorporated. Ricky Dixon, Bluebell Creameries. Jeff Lawson. Willio, JetBlue Airways. Robin Hayes. Humana, Bruce Broussard. Conair, Ron Diamond. Costco, Craig Jelinek. Terex Corporation, John Garrison. Associated Wholesale Grocers, David Smith. That's going back all the way to 12/31/2023. So you can read about this if you go to buildremote.co. I'll leave the link in the video description box. You can also go to the challengergray.com. December 2023 Challenger CEO turnover report. Will record-breaking CEO turnover in 2023 portend huge economic shift? This was published at the beginning of this year. A lot going on in the storefront, folks. A lot going on in the financial woes and the record. Like, look at these record labels and entertainment industries that are, and all of the entertainers that have deleted all their tweets. It's really weird, super bizarre. And I mean, talk about speculation. I mean, the world's definitely going to, I'm sure everybody's got their own theory about what's going on if they're researching this or if they're anywhere aware of the political landscape today. It's yeah. Anyway, next article, space.com. Collisions could increase chance of god of destruction asteroid Apophis hitting Earth. A chance encounter with another asteroid could steer Apophis destructively close to Earth during a future passage. I will leave the link in the video description box. And it's going to reach its closest point to Earth Friday the 13th, 2029. Wow. And it is dubbed the god of destruction, asteroid Apophis, named after the Egyptian serpent god of chaos and destruction, Apep. It's so large, it's going to pass within 19,000 miles estimated of Earth, so close to our planet, it could be visible to the naked eye. And new research has suggested that if other much smaller space rocks hit Apophis, and it's almost as wide as the Empire State Building, mind you, is tall, it could be redirected. Earth might not be narrowly missed by it during subsequent passages or in extreme circumstances, even during the 2029 passage. However, you don't need to bring in the tomato plants just yet, because research author Paul Wiegert, an astronomer of the University of Western Ontario, told Space.com that the odds of a dangerous asteroid strike on Apophis are still very low. The odds are essentially 1 in a million that an asteroid strike could deflect Apophis enough to put it in danger of a future post-2029 collision. And only 1 in a billion that it could send Apophis colliding with Earth in 2029, he said. I would like to know where he got those statistics. 1 in a billion, 1 in a million. Don't worry, it's all well. Just go back to work, pay your bills, deal with your issues, and do it all over again. And make sure to pay your tithings to Uncle Sam or whoever uncle you have that requires tithings. He goes on to say, I calculated the odds of asteroid Apophis, whose current path is computed to take it near but safely past our planet in 2029, being deflected onto a more dangerous path by an unexpected small asteroid impact, Weigert explained. These are the same kind of small asteroids that occasionally appear in our atmosphere as shooting stars or fireballs and could strike Apophis just as unexpectedly. Wiegert explained that in the research, he questioned whether an asteroid would strike during the period from 2021 to 2027 when our telescopes couldn't observe Apophis, and if this could deflect it enough to make it dangerous. Asteroid Apophis is essentially unobservable from now until 2027 because it is in the daytime sky. And so it could be hit without us being immediately aware of the event, he continued. So it sounds to me like the numbers that they're speculating could be quite inaccurate because they can't really observe it, especially the way they want to. At least that's what they're saying. So they're kind of leaving themselves an out. But what a name and what a date. A chaotic event could mean the rise of Apophis, which was discovered in 2004, 99942, Apophis. Potentially hazardous asteroid. Both the size of Apophis and its trajectory saw it remain at the top of both the European Space Agency's impact risk list and NASA's Century Risk Table for about 2 decades. That was until a close flyby of the asteroid, March 2021, allowing NASA scientists to determine Apophis actually won't hit Earth for at least 100 years. So just go back to work. And buy our new products, they're amazing! Now, the research shows the chance encounter with other space rocks could redirect the 1,000-foot wide Apophis asteroid to put it on a collision course with Earth in 2029 or later, meaning it could rocket back to the top of risk tables. Weigart calculated the effects that objects of different sizes would have if they struck Apophis, and then used the number of objects of these sizes that strike Earth each year to determine the probability of such an impact. An asteroid about 60 centimeters or 24 inches across could, if it struck Apophis from exactly the right direction, put Apophis onto a post-2029 collision course. It would take a 3-meter diameter asteroid to strike Apophis again in just the right direction to put it in danger of a collision in 2029, Weigert said. These kind of collisions are extremely rare, so you can keep the tomato plants out if you choose. However, when considering the angle necessary to divert Apophis that it could strike Earth on a future passage, Weigert found the chance of the asteroid being diverted to hit our planet after 2029 to be 1 in 1 million. The chances of a roughly 3-meter wide asteroid hitting Apophis and putting it on a collision course with Earth in 2029 were 1 in 2 billion. Wonderful. Listen to this. The Planetary Society estimated that if Apophis were to hit Earth, it could release energy equivalent to more than 1,000 megatons of TNT, which is the equivalent to the detonation of tens or even hundreds of nuclear weapons. This could potentially spread destruction and devastation across a radius of hundreds of miles. They do go on to say that it wouldn't cause the devastation that the dinosaur-ending asteroid did millions of years ago. Now, if it does get closer to Earth, or if it is on a collision course to Earth, there are some options now in attempts to divert it. In 2022, NASA tried out this idea, striking the asteroid system Dimorphos and Didymus with the double asteroid redirection test impactor and measuring the changes in its motion. That was the DART system. It is possible that a mission like DART could be used to divert Apophis back onto a safe path, but exactly how and if this would work has yet to be worked out. I just read something about how a space project, they launched something towards an asteroid, it blew it up into a bunch of pieces, and now we could see a meteor shower for decades to come because of that one experiment. But that's okay. They love you so much, folks. And hey, it's all in the name of science. So let's go. What could possibly go wrong? Next article, CNN.com. We finally got a rate cut. Here's what history says will happen next. Now, this is interesting because the recession track record is mixed. Oftentimes, Fed cuts interest rates because it expects economic conditions will worsen drastically in the near future and wants to preemptively soften the blow, knowing it can sometimes prevent a recession altogether. but it's a wide range. For instance, after the Fed began lowering rates in July of 1995, it took 69 months for a recession to occur. However, a recession started immediately when the Fed cut rates in July of 1990, and just 2 months after it cut in January of 2001. But it's certainly not a comforting sign that one recession indicator is currently flashing. Then it goes on to say unemployment rate generally rises. On average, for those 6 cycles, the unemployment rate rose by 1.4% points a year after the Fed cut rates. For instance, a year after the Fed cut rates in July of 1995, the unemployment rate was unchanged at 5.5%, and the unemployment rate was actually lower in September of 1999 compared to September of 1998 when the Fed began a cutting cycle. So there are mixed signs here. And when it goes on to inflation, it says no clear trend. The Fed is currently playing risk manager as it looks to keep the economy in good standing. A growing concern is whether cutting rates will cause inflation to spike. There you go. Here is some quick good news. This is Market Watch. Opinion: gold is giving you a once-in-a-generation buying opportunity on its way to 4,400. The upside breakout in gold prices has more room to run. This is by Cam Hui. Now that gold prices are reaching new highs, is there still a buying opportunity, or is this a bull trap? Let's begin with the reasons for caution. Conventional drivers of gold prices have lagged the yellow metal and are forming negative divergences that warn of excessive frothiness. Should investors be worried about these technical warnings of possible weakness? Well, the bull case could be summarized this way. Even as the conventional factors affecting gold prices have stumbled, other factors have emerged to support demand. In particular, gold prices have soared because central banks have been buying to hedge against geopolitical risk and uncertainty. The most prominent buyers of gold have been Russia and China in an effort to diversify away from dollar-based assets in case their conflict with the U.S. escalates. Chinese households have also been buying gold. Reuters reported that Chinese buyers are back after a brief 2-month hiatus. In addition, the conventional drivers of gold are also turning up. Central banks are cutting rates as inflation falls. This has the effect of reducing real rates, which is supportive of higher gold prices. There you go. I'll leave the link in the video description box. Silver, this is pretty cool. Just a real quick few lines here. Silver's 44-year cup and handle, the largest bullish formation ever seen. The Jerusalem Post. Silver's historic cup and handle pattern, one of the largest ever seen, signals a potential price surge. Renowned experts predict a massive breakout. Now, this is where Big Brother jumps in, like beyond Big Brother. Super Big Brother amplified. Did you know about the infrastructure bill mandates? Listen to this. The $1.2 trillion infrastructure passed by Congress. This was back November 2021. A 2,700-page legislation. There's a mandate that all new cars will soon be outfitted with monitors aimed at detecting whether a driver is impaired and to shut down when unusual activity is monitored. Now, that's great. Like, I'm all for safer roads. I'm a bike rider. I ride my bike a lot. And, people are on their phones enough while they're driving, let alone if somebody's impaired, drinking and driving, stuff like that. That's bad. So I appreciate that. However, where does it end? And like, how far are they going? Well, according to the Associated Press, the new regulation requires that monitoring systems to stop intoxicated drivers would roll out in all new vehicles as early as 2026. After the Transportation Department assesses the best form of technology to install in millions of vehicles and automakers are given time to fly. Some advocacy groups hail the mandate as a huge victory. Mothers Against Drunk Driving pushed for the new federal rule, and MAD President Alex Ott told Fox 5 that it is a step towards the organization's goal of seeing no more victims from drunk driving. Some experts, let's listen to this real quick. Systems under consideration for the requirement include technology for monitoring a driver's breath, eye movements, or sweat. And if unusual activity is detected, the car will either not start, not move, or will pull itself over. According to Ott, she told the AP that it will virtually eliminate the number one killer on American roads. But some experts are pointing to privacy concerns over having drivers monitored by their own cars. And who's going to have access to that information? Lee Tyne, a senior staff attorney for digital rights group, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, told MarketWatch, you want to be really careful that any system of technology that is basically driving surveillance doesn't go beyond what it needs to be. Mission creep is a big issue, Tyne continued. There's so much incentive between the public and the private sector to say, well, we could force people to collect this information, and we would really like it if you did. We could use the information. Tyne added, companies and the government sort of have aligned interests, and they're kind of not aligned with consumers. But what's also very, very interesting about this bill is the cameras that they want to have spying on you constantly. Now, if this is picking up alcohol in your breath, or if it goes over a certain limit and it shuts off the car, I can get that. But what type of sensors, what type of technologies, and how far could they go with this? Now, we recently had a pandemic, right? So what if they use this technology in reference to what they felt deemed a security risk? You have a cold, you have a cough, you have allergies, you have a fever. And what if any of those could potentially be deemed a security threat, so they shut your car down? They pull it over. What if there's a glitch in the system? What if there's a glitch with the software or the sensors? All of these things need to be worked out and very carefully discussed on both sides before it's implemented, in my opinion. And I want to get your opinion. Do you want your car to constantly spy on you? And hey, I get it. Like if it's going to make the world a better place, and if, like, did you hear those billionaires? Who was it that was bragging about some billionaire brags about surveillance keeping people in line? Larry Ellison says a vast AI-fueled surveillance system can ensure citizens be on their best behavior. Let's go to, you can read it, Business Insider, you can go to Yahoo. Omnipresent AI cameras will ensure good behavior, says billionaire Larry Ellison. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for making sure we're on our best behavior and really caring about us. On Thursday, Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison shared his vision for an AI-powered surveillance future during a company financial meeting, reports Business Insider. During an investor questions and answers session, Ellison described a world where artificial intelligence systems would constantly monitor citizens through an extensive network of cameras and drones, stating this would ensure both police and citizens don't break the law. Ellison, who briefly became the world's second wealthiest person last week when his net worth surpassed Jeff Bezos for a short time, outlined a scenario where AI models would analyze footage from security cameras, police body cams, doorbell cameras, and vehicle dash cams. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we are constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on, Ellison said, describing what he sees as the benefits from automated oversight from AI and automated alerts from when crimes take place. We're going to have supervision, he continued. Every police officer is going to be supervised at all times, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person. Well, who controls the AI? And I think we can find that if we do some research. Who controls the AI? Pretty powerful story right there. AbsoluteRight.com, or plenty of other places you can read it at. Now, that might be the least of some concerns, or some people's concerns right now. But you do know, I shared this with you just the other day. So KDVR.com, police released the Flock Safety Transparency Portal, which allows residents to see which law enforcement agencies have access to the data, prohibited uses of the information, what's not detected, and other information. In the past month, the system captured 2 million vehicles while identifying 86,800 vehicles and license plates on the hot list, which flags wanted criminals and recovers stolen vehicles. In the past 5 months, The readers already sorted through millions of vehicles detected by the system and helped law enforcement arrest at least 142 suspects, recover 11 weapons, and approximately 99 stolen vehicles. So that's great. You got 142 bad guys. And you put 86,800 vehicles on a hot list out of 2 million vehicles approximately? Does anybody see? Okay, totally safe, totally normal. Don't worry about it. It's just a hot list. So what's the hot list? That's about 5%. About 5% of the cars captured on a hot list. But it goes on to say that the hot list is for stolen vehicles or people that might be stolen vehicles. So what about all the other people on that hot list? What are they doing to be put on the hot list? That's crazy. But hey, it's for your protection. It's because they want to keep you safe. They love you. They love you so much. They love you so much, folks. I'll tell you how much they love you, okay? NewScientist.com. A bold plan to pump seawater over the frozen Arctic ice could offer humanity a final chance to save the region's vanishing sea ice. Field trials conducted this year in the Canadian Arctic to thicken sea ice using water from the ocean below have proved successful, says UK startup Real Ice. Wow, that's fantastic. Geoengineering, cloud seeding, darkening clouds, all this technology to make it the world a safer place. Don't allow nature to take its course. We have technology that will take its course. Don't worry about the future, worry about the now. Besides, we make a lot of money with technology. People are going to love it. It's for the people. They love us. We're billionaires and we can tell them whatever they want to hear and they believe us. We tell them what they want to hear, they believe us. Now, MedPage today. EPA scientists say they were pressured to downplay health harms from chemicals. And a watchdog found they were retaliated against. This was originally published by ProPublica, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative newsroom. More than 3 years ago, a small group of government scientists came forward with disturbing allegations. During President Donald Trump's administration, they said their managers at the Environmental Protection Agency began pressuring them to make new chemicals they were vetting seem safer than they really were. They were encouraged to delete evidence of chemicals' harms, including cancer, miscarriage, and neurological problems from their reports. And in some cases, they said their managers deleted the information themselves. After the scientists pushed back, they received negative performance reviews, and 3 of them were removed from their positions in the EPA's Division of New Chemicals and reassigned to jobs elsewhere in the agency. Wow. On Wednesday, the EPA Inspector General announced that it had found that some of the treatment experienced by 3 of those scientists, Martin Phillips, PhD, Sarah Gallagher, PhD, and William Irwin, PhD, amounted to retaliation. 3 reports issued by the Inspector General confirmed that the scientists negate performance reviews as well as a reassignment and the denial of an award that can be used for cash or time off were retaliatory. They also detailed personal attacks by supervisors who called them stupid, piranhas, and pot stirrers. The report called on the EPA to take appropriate corrective action in response to the findings. In one case, the Inspector General noted that supervisors who violate the Whistleblower Protection Act should be suspended for at least 3 days. Once again, folks, it's because they love you so much. They love you so much. And they love you so much. TheGuardian.com, microplastics are infiltrating brain tissue, studies show. There's nowhere left untouched. I think there was an article recently where they found microplastics in testicles. Yes. Human testicles contain microplastics and nanoplastics at levels 3 times higher than animals and human placentas. A new small study found. It's a small study though, folks, so don't worry about it. CNN.com. Like how they put that in there. It's just a small study. Like, do you know what I want to say? Anyway, microplastics have been found in human testicles, and research suggests they may have a negative impact on human reproductive health. Oh, really? No presence. Microplastics have been found in every human testicle sample examined. concentration. Human testicles have a higher concentration of microplastics than dog testicles. Polyethylene, PVC are the most common microplastics found in human testicles. What's the potential impact? Microplastics may impact sperm count and testes weight. They may also be a reproductive toxin and increase the risk of cancer. Oh. If you go to theguardian.com, 24 brain samples collected in early 2024 measured on average about 0.5% plastic by weight. Are you under? What? 0.5% plastic by weight. Wow. That's a lot of freaking microplastics in the brain. A growing body of scientific evidence shows that microplastics are accumulating in critical human organs, including the brain, leading researchers to call for more urgent action to rein in plastic pollution. Studies have detected tiny shards and specks of plastic in human lungs, placentas, reproductive organs, livers, kidneys, knees, elbow joints, blood vessels, bone marrow. Given the research findings, it is now imperative to declare a global emergency to deal with plastic pollution, said Sedat Gündoğdu, who studies microplastics at Çukurova University in Turkey. Humans are exposed to microplastics, defined as fragments smaller than 5 millimeters in diameter. The chemicals used to make plastics from widespread plastic pollution in the air, water, and even the food. There's much more plastic in our brains than I ever would have imagined or been comfortable with. Matthew Campen, University of New Mexico. Wow. Wow. Wow, that is insane. People in Salt Lake City thought they were insane, but they're not. You definitely heard something. You definitely felt something. ABC4.com. Large booms felt and heard throughout Salt Lake Valley. Here's what we know. Several Utahns have reported feelings and hearing large booms throughout the Salt Lake Valley on Thursday afternoon. While it may be concerning, Salt Lake County Emergency Management said there's nothing to be concerned about. The loud booms heard in Salt Lake Valley are from the Tooele Army Depot. Salt Lake County Emergency Management said in a post on X, they are conducting detonation in the South Range and will soon wrap up. No threat. And the depot regularly conducts detonations throughout the year as part of its routine operations to dispose of expired military operations, according to the Taylors City Police Department. The Army Depot conducts detonations typically from September through the end of October each year, Taylorsville Police Department said. Now, depending on the weather, the sound and the vibrations can carry quite far. So don't worry about it. It's all good. This, I wouldn't say, is so good. This is, according to Eurasian Times, a nuclear time bomb. Russia's nuclear time bomb is ticking. Divers inspect nuke submarine that sank 42 years ago. Now, it's the K-27 nuclear submarine, sank 42 years ago, and at the time, it was cutting-edge nuclear technology that didn't have the bugs worked out. I'll get to that in a minute, but listen to this. Listen to this. The wreck, okay, so there is literally a nuclear submarine at a shallow depth in a popular recreational area. And yes, there are potential hazards. Emergency crews successfully raised dangerous elements from the ship's structure and upper deck, although no explosive objects were confirmed during initial assessments. The ministry further mentioned that over the past 5 years, now think about this, over the past 5 years, divers from the ministry have recovered nearly 126,000 items from various underwater sites, which of course highlights the ongoing risks associated with submerging military vessels. What? So 1968, let's go back a few years, like 56 years. During the peak of the Cold War, the K-27 encountered a catastrophic event when radiation leaked from one of its reactors while navigating the Arctic. The incident resulted in the tragic loss of 9 lives. The submarine was officially removed from the USSR Navy on February 1st, 1979, and then it was sunk in 1982. Now, it used a liquid metal-cooled nuclear reaction system, has 2 of them, VT-1 liquid metal-cooled nuclear reactors, which were on board the K-27. Goes on to say it was primarily a scientific experiment with operational capabilities being a secondary concern. The lead bismuth cooled reactors were designed to be smaller and more powerful than standard pressurized water reactors, but it had operational problems from the beginning. It was extremely expensive. It was dubbed the little gold fish, or Zolotea rybka. Zolotea rybka in Russian, after a magical fish from fairy tales that grants wishes. And the crew even enjoyed, they were the military elite, foods such as citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, quite the rarity for Soviet citizens during that time, struggling with daily shortages. Now, people were concerned about the radiation, and rightfully so, crew members were. On May 24th, 1968, a severe malfunction occurred in one of the submarine's VT-1's reactors, which led to a dramatic power drop from 87% to 7%. Then, exuberant amounts of gamma radiation were inundating the reactor's compartment. As the situation worsened, gas began to vent from the reactor, permeating other compartments of the submarine. The radiation detector was turned off. They had one, but they left it off. When it was turned on, it started going crazy, so they got concerned. They didn't understand the full extent of the problems at that moment. They did manage to get it to the surface. It was decommissioned February 1979, sunk in the Kara Sea on September 6, 1982, and it's at a depth of just 33 meters or 108 feet below the water. Now, a ticking nuclear time bomb because Russian authorities have been exploring whether the sunken K-27 can be safely raised to remove the uranium from its reactors. Moscow's latest Arctic development plan includes ambitious initiatives aimed at retrieving various types of nuclear waste that were previously disposed of by the Soviet Union in the Barents and Kara Seas. Now, this is where it's very concerning. Combined, the K-27 and the K-159, these nuclear submarines, contain approximately 1 million curies of radiation, which is equivalent to about a quarter of the radiation released during the first month of the Fukushima disaster. And they're just sitting there in the water. The K-27 deemed too radioactive for conventional dismantling, so it was towed to the Arctic Novaya Zemlya nuclear testing range in 1982 and subsequently scuttled in one of the archipelagos fjords. The process of sinking a submarine to a depth of just 33 meters required considerable effort. The vessel was weighed down with asphalt to seal its fuel-filled reactors. A hole was drilled into its aft ballast tank to facilitate the sinking. This is not a long-term fix. The sealant around the reactor was intended only to prevent radiation leaks until 2032. If the reactors are shaken when they bring this thing out or pull it out excessively, this could lead to an uncontrollable chain reaction, which would significantly release radioactivity into the fragile Arctic marine environment. Now, the project to recover the K-27 and K-159 submarines is estimated to cost over 300 million euros, about $326 million. And there have been projects halted because of the situation and conflict in Ukraine. So once again, nuclear power, one hell of a way to boil water. And this is one of many disasters. And banks right now say they're going to invest heavily in nuclear reactors. World nuclear news. International banks express support for nuclear expansion. 14 major global banks and financial institutions express their support for effort to triple nuclear energy by 2050. PR Newswire. World's largest banks to throw weight behind nuclear energy. Mining MX. U.S. nuclear plant 3 Mile Island, the site of the worst nuclear accident in American history, is to restart operations in a deal to sell power to Microsoft. Constellation Energy said on Friday, CBS News. And I think Bill Gates is working on something in Bill Gates Nuclear Wyoming. In Wyoming, Bill Gates moves ahead with nuclear project at revolutionizing power generation. Gates was in the tiny community of Kemmerer Monday to break ground on the project. The co-founder of Microsoft is chairman of TerraPower. The company applied to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in March for a construction permit for an advanced nuclear reactor using sodium, not water, for cooling. If approved, it would operate as a commercial nuclear power plant. The site is adjacent to the PacifiCorp's Naughton power plant, which will stop burning coal in 2026 and natural gas a decade later, the utility said. Nuclear reactors operate without emitting planet-warming greenhouse gases. Oh, well, that's good. PacifiCorp plans to get carbon-free power from the reactor and said it is weighing how much nuclear to include in its long-range planning. The work begun Monday is aimed at having the site ready so TerraPower can build the reactor as quickly as possible if its permit is approved. Russia is at the forefront for developing sodium-cooled reactors. Gates told the audience at the event that they were standing on what will soon be the bedrock of America's energy future. This is a big step towards safe, abundant, zero-carbon energy, Gates said, and it's important for the future of this country that projects like this succeed. So, I don't know what would happen if there was a meltdown with one of these new types of reactors, if it would be as catastrophic as some of the other ones. I think that more research is required. I think that we definitely need to be aware of the consequences if there was a meltdown. And with the artificial intelligence boom requiring all of this energy, the two are going to go hand in hand. And isn't it fascinating when you think about when we started doing tests with nuclear and all of the alleged sightings of UFOs and weird phenomena around these test sites? And now we have artificial intelligence that is so power hungry, it requires this type of energy almost. What's going on, folks? This is 1947. 80 years ago, 77 years ago. It's amazing how much has happened in less than 80 years. What's going to happen in 100 years and beyond? What are your thoughts about these comments? Thank you for watching. Check us out on Patreon, leakproject.com. Hit the bell for all notifications. Share this video out. Leave a comment. I want to read your comments. Hit that thumbs up if you would, please, and be the change you want to see.
We're billionaires, and we can tell them whatever they want to hear, and they believe us. We tell them what they want to hear, they believe us, and we are the saviors. We're billionaires bragging about social equality. We're billionaires telling you that you have too much, because that's how we roll, and you still believe us. So easy. So easy.